Good evening, fellow book nerds. It's your girls, Des and Cass.
Hello.
Today, we have I shouldn't say the two best books. Two of the best books of the Throne of Glass series. Got
Yes.
Queen of Shadows and Empire of Storms. I literally just told you
Yes.
2 seconds ago and I had to think about it again. I was like, ugh, what books?
I mean, if anything, I always mess up what books are what. For some reason, Air of Fire and Queen of Shadows kind of like mesh together for me.
They do for
I don't
me
know
too.
why that is.
Yeah,
It just they just do.
I
Oh.
I have that same problem.
So in the background was a beautiful little kid and his father.
I was really hoping we could not hear that, but maybe
Oh, that was adorable.
maybe
Don't
it won't
worry.
show up in the
It doesn't matter. All right.
uh
So,
yeah. Do we
before we
wanna
start talking,
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, before we start talking about the books, I guess we should do what we have been doing and talk about what we're currently reading
Mhm.
and or writing. So I think you should start and say what you're doing currently.
Well, you can be proud of me because I finished my story, I turned it in, and now I get to be cool and published like you. Woo woo.
Yes.
So, you people out there listening to this, go get Songs of the Deep Part 2.
Dude,
It's an anthology that I actually did. I say that because I was part of another one a few years ago and I did not turn it in.
but this one you did.
This one I did. So if you like mermaids and really sexy pirates and really nerdy scientists, my story is the one. It's pretty solid for a
You know where
story
my
written in a
headcanon
week.
ship is, so I'm
I
just
know
saying.
Cass is all about the thruple. I don't
I
think I
am.
will be
I'm here
having
for
that
it.
happen when I expand on this, but she's really trying to convince me.
It'll happen. I'll make it happen. If I have to write a fanfic, I'll make it happen. And I don't write fanfics, so that says something
I
right
feel
there.
honored, actually. I feel like I need to specifically make sure it doesn't happen, just so I can have my first fanfic. Oh, that warms my heart. Well, other than that, writing that I will probably continue on because I want to expand it. I've been reading Aragon, which so have you.
Yes.
I'll have to read my chapters tonight actually because I haven't done that yet. I won't have time to do it
I haven't
tomorrow.
either, I'll be honest.
I mean, you don't really read on the weekends, so
I don't.
I was
That's the
in
weird
my
thing. It's
brain. I was like, yeah, Cass will have to do spoilers this week.
that's fine with me. I mean, I kind of figured that's going to be the case for me now anyways. And I'm like, this is what
Now
I
that I'm
get for
done
choosing
writing.
to do paperback. Yeah. This is what I get for choosing paperback over
Mhm.
audiobook cuz which is such a sad thing to say, figuring, how quick I used to be able to read a paperback. But,
I mean, it's hard now, like
you know,
finding time to actually sit down and read without getting
oh my,
distracted. But like audio, you can just put on while you're in the car, when you're, driving around for work.
yeah,
It's easier.
and and that's all my job really is just driving anyway. So all I
Mhm.
do is listen to audiobooks. But yeah, and I decided to get the paperback because I figured that it would be a good book series for Joseph to get into. And so
That's smart.
and
That's
that's
kind of
why I was
why I
like,
want to buy them
I'll get
too.
the paper book. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm reading Aragon as well, taking my sweet ass time, but I am reading it. Um, and I am currently writing my I'm an urban fantasy called Familiar Magic. about a normal human being, or at least he thinks he is, who basically his boss gets killed and he somehow inherits the bookstore that he works at. He inherits the apartment that the bookstore is at, and he inherits a talking cat, which turns out to be a cursed witch who turns human under the full moon. So it's kind of like a reverse werewolf situation. Uh only it's a cat. And they're gonna solve the mystery of the murdered uh, boss, who happens to be actually the witch's familiar, so that's why it's called familiar magic, because she's not the familiar, the dead person is. So, but that's what I'm working on right now. It is a very, very rough draft. I didn't even outline it, I'll be honest. So I'm only on
So,
chapter 2,
so me with the
and I'm
story
like,
I
oh
just wrote.
man. Exactly. And and I'm handwriting it too, so it's like
Ooh,
a
I
a
like
double thing.
handwriting. I feel like I
It
concentrate
it's
better when
easier
I'm
for me.
actually. Yep, me too. Like
Yep.
I don't know, the screen.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why I struggled so much with this one. For some reason, I just was not writing it out. I was typing it the whole time, like on my phone. So,
Yeah. So what you need to do is just get a journal or something, kinda like what
oh,
I've
I
done
have
here. See, I have a little
5,000. That's what I
journal.
normally use them for. Is all my little story
Yeah.
ideas. I don't know why I didn't with this one. I just was like, eh.
Well, now you can.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Now that I'm going
technically
back and fixing things and expanding, I
exactly.
definitely will. Side little quest here. If you go on the Libby app, you can. Oh, thank you. Got my notes after all. But if you go on the Libby app, Aragon, you need to place a hold for the audio, but it's only has 4 people waiting, so you'd probably be able to get it pretty quickly if you wanted the audio.
Oh, funny enough, it's, I've been on that wait list.
Oh, you're one of the 4 people? No!
Exactly. So that's
And you
that's
still
why
haven't
one of the
gotten it?
reasons that's one of the reasons why I got the paperback as well, because I was like, "I'm not buying the ebook," because the ebook makes it even harder for me. For
Yeah.
some reason,
Yeah, I
ebooks
can't
are
do
even
ebooks.
worse,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Hurts my
I was
head.
like, "Alright." I mean, I like ebooks every now and then, but right now I was like, "Ah, I can't do it." So I have that's another reason why I bought the paperback, because I couldn't get the audio on Libby, and I didn't
Well,
want to use an Audible credit, so there you go. So I was like, "Alright."
I thought I was helping. My bad.
No, I mean, it was a help, it just
You're like,
wasn't a help.
mm-mm. It was not
It's
helpful.
just it's not. It wasn't, but it was helpful in the sense of, like, it is a good choice, had I not already used that choice. Oh, man. Yeah, no, I haven't even checked to see what the app looks like right now for me at all. Like, are they, like see, that's the weird thing, is it, like, the same for everybody even though the libraries are different?
Oh, I guess it would be different because you're using your
Yeah.
libraries. Maybe
Yeah,
you
so, like,
need
my
to
library
use my
let me
library
check.
then.
Let me
Can
let
you
me
do
check
that?
and
Is
see where
that an
my
option?
actually, it is an option.
Do
That
that
does
because
happen.
I only have 4 people
Well
waiting on mine.
oh, wait. I am 8th in line now. I was 15th. I am now 8th in line. We are nearly there. We are nearly there.
It's not even like a
Oh,
long book. I'm surprised it's taking so long.
yeah. Well, the library has acquired an additional copy. So now we got 2 people reading at the
Ah,
same time. So I'm
there you
gonna get there.
go.
I'll get there. I mean, here's the thing. Um, I'd either get it done paperback wise, or I will get the audiobook just in time for you guys to be done. And then I can finish it off real fast.
me.
We'll see. We'll see who's gonna be the winner here. Let's find out.
It's a
Yeah,
fun game to play.
right. Uh, the Queen of Shadows.
Yes.
This one is probably, I would say, because all right, here it is. I do not think Empire of Storms is, well, we should probably address what Queen of Shadows is all about first. Now
I was
think
gonna
about
say
it.
we should start with Queen of
Yeah.
Shadows.
So like Queen of Shadows is, I can't remember what number book is, like fourth? Fifth?
Fifth? I mean, fifth if you're
Uh,
counting the prequel.
Okay, so we're gonna say fifth because
Yeah,
we're
because we already
counting the
talked about
prequel.
the prequel, so.
Yeah. So it's technically the fifth book in the series of Throne of Glass. And in this book, we have Aelin, who has just gotten through her ordeal with um over in Wendlin and is now back in, um can't remember what that country's called. Otterlin?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the
Yeah.
country is Aurelia. I can't pronounce any of these places. Aurelia, but
No, Aurelia is the
or the continent,
planet, I think.
the
Yeah,
continent,
the continent is
and then
Aurelia.
this country
Yeah,
inside the continent
it's
is
Otterlin.
Otterlin.
Yeah, Otterlin. And so she's back to be with her boys, Kale and Dorian, and
So she thinks.
to so she thinks, yeah, because in her head, she's thinking everything's gonna be okay, or at
Hmm.
least quasi okay.
Yeah.
Dorian's gonna be all right. Kale's gonna be
She's like,
doing his,
my boys are off in the palace doing dumb stuff for the evil king still, but they're there chilling. They're fine. I'm sure of it.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, and she thinks she's gonna be able to get in, get out, and stop the king from doing his nasty stuff. And instead, what she comes home to is complete disarray. I mean, it feels like the city is like she
On
has
lockdown,
stepped
basically.
in. It's either on lockdown, but like I in my head, I was thinking of like stepping into a Mad Max situation where like
Yeah, because you've got like
she's,
these strange men in black cloaks just like prowling the
yeah,
streets, checking everything. People are like suddenly quiet, and like, oh no, what's
yeah,
going on?
yeah. I mean, if we're gonna base it into a situation, it could be like the Nazi occupation of
Oh,
Paris.
yeah. Actually, that
You
is
know?
kind of exactly it. Yeah, she's looking at the guards and she's
Yeah.
like, these are not the guards I left here.
Yeah.
I don't know any of these people.
Yeah. And she eventually finds Kale, and Kale is now a part of the rebellion. He is not only just part of the rebellion,
He's
he's
now
leading
leading the rebellion.
the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Which honestly, despite the fact that he's a dick in this book, I mean he is. As he's not really good on figuring out his feelings. He needs therapy. Boy needs therapy.
Yes, definitely.
Um, but I think it's kind of funny how he keeps on thinking that Dorian's gotta get back and be the leader, or Aelin needs to be the leader, somebody needs to be the leader. And he's not realizing that
He's the leader in this
he
situation.
is the leader. Yeah, he doesn't
Yeah,
realize it. And I think that's really cool in that regard, is that he kind of
just does it.
demeans himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just does it because it needs to get done and it's the right thing to do. And it is the right thing to do. He's saving people
Yeah.
who are magic users, even though he's scared of magic users. He's still saving them. So he's doing the right thing.
To I think the one difference though is that he isn't like, yes, he's doing it for the right thing, but he isn't like going out there and like hunt, like he's not really like going out there specifically just to like ruin the king's plans. He's doing more rescue
No.
missions. Um
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
like
he's but if you think about it, he does talk about wanting to do those things. Like, he
right,
knows what needs to get done, and he
right.
wants to do those things, but it's like, "Okay, what is the like, most important thing? Most important thing is to save these people and get them out ASAP. Then I go save Dorian, because Dorian can destroy everything." That's where he's thinking,
I don't think he
instead of,
thinks about
"I can destroy it."
well, I don't think he thinks about Dorian destroying anything. He puts Dorian on a pretty
No,
high pedestal. He's like,
he really
I need
does.
him to be king, but actually just sit there and look pretty while I do all of the work. But what he's not getting through his head is that Dorian's possessed, and there's a
Yeah,
very high chance he's not going to come out of that alive.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he's
He's in
he's very
denial.
he's in denial. He's in denial and
He's wading
possibly a
through
little
it.
too optimistic. He's probably too optimistic, and Aelin is she's
Realistic.
realistic.
But not.
She's realistic,
She's
bordering on
blunt.
pessimism.
I wouldn't say
Yeah.
pessimist, but she's very blunt
I
about.
see.
She's like, I've seen people with these collars on, and there was no getting through to them.
Yeah.
And
But
Kale just wants
but
to
that's
ignore her, and he's like, "Sure, you saw people, you fought people, you whatever you want to say, princess. Falling in
it's
love
not
with people is what you
Dorian.
actually were doing, and you just left us
Yeah,
behind to die, even though." She didn't go there on purpose. He's the one who sent her away.
exactly.
So like
But see,
that's
I the reason why I say the pessimism part is because she does notice, like, at first, obviously, it makes perfect sense. Dorian is possessed, he's not there, but when she goes and saves Adian, there is a moment, just a slight moment, but
Mhm.
it kind of is there, where she thinks she sees Dorian.
Right. Right.
Just a little bit.
But later she
And
during that rescue though, she does kind of when he's cornering her and like trying to get her to stop, she's like, "Give me some sort of sign. Like show me that what I saw
yeah,
earlier was real." Like just the
yeah.
smallest. So she did try and then she was like, "Maybe I was just wishful thinking earlier."
Yeah,
So
and
like
that's the little bit that I consider a slight pessimism, because
yeah.
she's just like, "Fuck it, he die. He gonna die." And I I can understand. I understand where she's standing on it,
Yeah.
but I also understand where Kale is, because here he is in the trenches of what's going on. Yeah, she was in her own trenches, but that doesn't um Kale is of the impression that it's a competition of trenches,
Yeah.
whereas she doesn't. I don't think she necessarily thinks it's a competition of
No, she's
trenches,
like,
but
something
she's
terrible happened to you, and I'm sorry about that, but like, I couldn't do anything about it. Like
yeah.
he's not good
but
at
but
placing the proper
yeah,
blame.
no, he isn't. But the problem is that she also kind of um and I don't mean this in a bad way, because I do think that she has good reasons, but in a way it's like, if I was him, it would feel like he only cares about her country now, and, forget my boys. I don't fucking care about my boys. Never mind the fact that this one of my boys actually saved my dog. I don't fucking care about you. I don't fucking care about your boyfriend. I just want to fucking destroy everything so that I can get my country back. And
That's
that's
what he's
that's
picturing, even though that's not what's
that's what he's
happening.
picturing.
Yeah,
No, it's
which
not
is
what's happening.
so silly because
Yeah.
he just it just makes me angry that he doesn't use like proper logic. Like he doesn't look back on how their whole past has been so far and like all the good things she has done. He's just like, well, now that I know the
Well,
truth, that wasn't real.
see, but then we kind of also have to realize that she's really good at lying too. And she is really good at acting. And so
I mean, you're not
he
wrong.
he can't really trust what he's seeing, because he doesn't know what the real one is. So there's that. Um no, I'm not saying that, he's in the right with the things he said because he is not in the right. He was a bigot and he needed to fix his shit together. And um though I love that he's championing his boyfriend, he's not doing a good job. But in this book, we see more of we actually meet Manon in this book, don't we? No.
Mm-mm, no, we already met
We
her.
met her in Air of Fire.
Yeah, but now
Yeah, we met
she's
her in
switched castles. She's at what's the place called? Morath, Morath, Morath.
yeah, it's Throne of Glass's version of Mordor.
Yes, exactly.
It actually legit is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um,
And then while
yeah.
she's there, we're introduced to Elide, who is one of
Yes.
my favorite characters personally.
I do
I
love a
love my
lead.
girl.
And actually I'm gonna harken back to A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Ooh.
And the reason for that is because Feyre and Elide
Oh, very similar.
they
Almost.
share a certain disability of illiteracy.
And
However,
hurt
I'm just gonna
body
put it out
parts.
there. However, I think Elide probably would have gotten that
Fixed.
she would have figured out what's going on a little bit faster than Feyre. I'm just putting it out there.
Oh, well,
Uh,
that's because Elide's whole thing is observation. So she's a
yeah,
genius in a tiny little
yeah,
body.
it's
She's a
exactly. But I
badass.
mean, like you would think that Feyre would have a little bit of observation skills, figuring, this is a girl who hunts for her family. So I'm just
You would
saying,
think that. You're right.
yeah, like
Not sure what
you know what,
happened with that one.
I'm gonna put this. I am going to say this purely on just characterizations,
I'm excited.
since Kale is the smartest idiot, and Elide is our illiterate badass. Feyre is like the
Dumbest
A
smart
Court of
person?
Thorns and Roses. No, she is like the Court of Thorns and Roses love child of Kale and Elide. Think about it.
um, I
I
think
I rest my case.
I would agree, but I still think that's giving her too much credit. I maybe just Kale's kid.
Because Elide is that badass. That's the thing.
Aline is
She
the best. I shouldn't say the best because there's other characters I like just as well,
yeah.
maybe even slightly more. But she is one of the best characters in
Yeah.
literary existence, in my opinion.
What I love about Elide is that she's like an illiterate Sherlock Holmes, essentially. Not Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock Holmes where he's like hyperactive and going all over the place. I just mean like in an
Actually,
analytical
deductive
sense. Yeah,
reasoning.
I'm thinking in the sense of like, had Sherlock Holmes had a physical disability of a broken foot and unable to walk properly, but yet still, you know, was able to do the things that he does.
Mhm.
Because Elide
Well,
is
that's
like,
she's kind of crippled in one leg, so that's another thing about her
yeah,
is that she limps around. She like her whole leg is messed up, and you don't really get like a lot of answers on that. You just know that she was locked in a tower since childhood with like shackles, and she fell down some stairs and was never given a healer to help heal it at all. They were just like, "Good luck, maybe you'll live."
yeah, my guess is that it probably was a compound fracture. So that basically, I actually had one on my leg where one part of the bone is going twisting one way and then another part of a
Mhm.
bone is going the other direction. And so your leg is like twisted around like a pretzel of sorts. I
Mhm.
don't think hers like was necessarily pretzel, but it
But
was
it was bad enough
kinda
that
it
she,
was yeah.
because I mean,
And
there's a
that's
big gnarly
actually
scar from it, so some
yeah,
bone was popped out at one point. She just like shoved
yeah,
that shit back in. As
probably.
a kid,
That's
I was like, oh, I'll be
that's
all right.
that's probably the amount of work that they did for her. Is like, okay,
Yeah,
we'll shove it in. Well,
yeah,
done.
and then probably just tied it up and was like,
Good
looks
luck.
good.
Yeah.
Bones back
And
in your body.
that's all you need, right? Yeah. And I here's the thing, this girl is planning on escaping. She's like memorizing maps even though she can't read.
Yeah,
She's at least memorizing locations.
we should
And I think that's
clarify that
really awesome.
she's like been brought to this place because her uncle is working with our big bad. Do we know he's the big bad?
Yeah,
I don't think we
we do.
do. Do we?
We do. We do.
I don't think
No, wait.
I don't think we
No,
do.
not in this one. No, yeah.
But it's
We
okay because
what
we're
we
gonna talk about it later. So
yeah, he's
you were
in the
gonna find
next
out
book.
anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so, anyways, he's working with a bad guy and the Duke, who is in charge of Marath, and so now the witches are there and they're getting ready with their wyverns to like get their forces ready to become like an evil aerial force to take over the world for the king. And so like I said, Elid's been brought there. She's like a servant, and this is the first time she's been out of her tower, and she immediately is like, this is my opportunity to get the fuck out of here and away from my evil uncle. And she ends up kind of spying on the witches, who are like bloodthirsty killers, and she's just spying on them like, oh well. And
Yeah.
Manon ends up kind of catching her and confronts her about it. And Elide, she's so smart. She pretends to be like way dumber than she is. She gives herself a stammer and uses like fear of like, she thinks about something that's like super terrifying to like make herself seem even more scared than she is. And then it's just, I'm just so impressed with her. But
Yeah.
in the process of this, we kind of find out that Elide has witch's blood, like from her mother's side. That's all we know, is that she has iron teeth witch, iron tooth,
Yeah. Supposedly.
iron teeth witch
She
somewhere in
she's
her
at least
line.
or I mean, she claims it's iron teeth.
I mean, I think
They
she
make
would
a
know.
claim
She
that it's going to
tasted her
be.
blood.
Well, see, the thing is that I don't know if it would be
Oh, it
iron
tastes
teeth
different. Like if,
or Cochrane.
yeah, if the blood would even taste different.
Yeah.
No, I think
Like, maybe it wouldn't.
No, she would know because they used to eat the cochrans that they would hunt down. So she,
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the blood would taste different.
I mean, I'm assuming that it does if,
No. I mean, I don't think so. So, because if you think about it, they're both Cochrane and Iron Teeth are kind of related to the same issue.
which they are, but
Which
the
doesn't
iron
make
teeth
sense. Like, I don't understand.
are more Valg, and the cochrans are more Fey. So I'm assuming the iron teeth witches have a different taste,
Maybe.
like a nastier taste almost. And do we know if the cochrans bleed blue or if they bleed
See, and
red?
that's another thing because Elite does not bleed blue.
Right, which is why it would be a distant relative. Because I mean, she also doesn't have the
It would
teeth or the
it would have to
nails.
be yeah, it would have to be seriously distant. But that's why I was thinking, well, maybe it's actually Cochrane because of the fact that
That's
it's
true,
possible.
I guess.
And I was like, well, maybe, just maybe. Now, and here's the thing, I think it's more along the lines of like, I kind of like the idea of it being a Cochrane Ridge because this is after Manon has killed her sister, which she doesn't know it's her sister.
Yeah, at this point, she doesn't know.
Yeah, at this point, she doesn't know. But the fact that, she is feeling bad though
So
that she
she's
killed
still
a
thinking
Cochrane.
about that. So
So I
she
can
might
see
have been
her.
like, "I'ma let you live because I'm feeling guilty," Thane, and just saying it's Iron Tooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will agree that
Yeah.
it's possible. I'm going to choose to believe that it's Iron Teeth just because it makes me happier. I don't know why. I like the idea
But see
of
see
her
but the
having
reason
that
why.
darker side, I guess. That's why I like it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the Cochranes could have a darker side no matter what. Because honestly, later on in, like, frigging, Kingdom of Ash, the Cochranes aren't the nicest folk. I'm just saying. They're not mean. They're not, like, evil, but, like, they're not really the nicest either. So, I'm just saying that you could totally still be a bitch. Because, I mean, sorry,
I don't
Aelin.
I'm not saying I want her to be a bitch. I'm saying I want her to have like that bit of like darkness. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Like there's just like a
Aelin
little bit
can
of a
have
different.
darkness.
No, because she's just Faye, okay? She doesn't have dark like she has like a
She
dark
does.
no, she has a darkness from like experience, like from trauma. This is like a genetic
Like a
darkness.
new lead.
No, that's a different darkness that Aline also has. I'm saying I want her to have trauma and a very interesting bloodline, okay?
I get it, but I like the idea of it being a Cochrane because then it just adds on to more of what Manon really
Is starting
becomes
to
in Kingdom
turn
of
at
Ash
this point.
too. Exactly.
Yeah. I like it. I will choose to believe my way, but I do like your idea.
I like it. Oh
uh
yeah, yeah. Either way, it hasn't been confirmed by the author as far as I know, aside from what is said in the books. So,
anyways. So, um
yes.
after discovering this, Manon is like, "All right, you need to choose if your blood runs red or runs blue." So she basically is like, if you say you're a witch, you'll be under my protection. But in doing so, Elide would kind of out herself to her uncle, and she's kind of like getting the hint that he already suspects this, and she's afraid to see what happens if she confirms it by choosing that side. And then, the other is just like fend for yourself and be human, I guess. And there comes a point when her uncle is, I can't even remember what it was he does. He does something. No, he actually didn't do anything. She thought it was her uncle waiting in her room, like, to come get her. And so she
Yeah, but it's
goes,
Manon that did it.
it's Manon that basically tricked her into choosing her. So she goes and sleeps with the wyverns, and Abraxos is immediately in love with Elide and is like, "I'm gonna protect this little girl, come snuggle me." And
If anything, he just wanted something to snuggle.
he loves her. I love that they
Oh, he
instantly
does
just
love
like
her.
bonded. Basically, her and Manon pretty quickly bonded as well, even though neither one of
Yeah.
them wanted to admit it at first. But then, there's a lot of fan fiction
Manon
between
did
that.
Manon
But that's
Manon
beside the
pretty
point.
much did Manon pretty much did what every extrovert does to an introvert,
Yeah,
like the introvert best
I'm gonna
friend.
force you to be
Manon's
my
like,
friend by doing this.
yeah, exactly. That's basically what Manon did without saying that's what Manon did.
She's like, "I know you want to remain low key, but you're gonna go out and party with me, bitch."
Exactly.
That's exactly what happened. And
My
then
coven isn't big enough yet. I need another one.
Manon even like knows that Alita's in there sleeping in the room with Abraxos, and like gives out like information to see what Elite will do. And then Elite tries to escape at that point, and that becomes a whole thing. Because Manon has to stop her. I mean, she like catches her with the gold she was stealing.
Yeah.
You're making a look. You're like, what are you talking about?
No, I had to think about it, but yeah. And that whole storyline also, we learn more about what makes the witches.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned, um, which is Vogue and Faye getting it on, or being forced to get it on. We don't know which.
Assuming
Um,
forced.
it's insinuated it's probably forced,
Yeah,
but
because
you
the
never know.
Fae
Maybe,
didn't want any of the witches because
yeah,
how much they were like the Valg, and then the Valg didn't want the witches because they were too kind-hearted, basically because of the Fae. So they ended
yeah,
up becoming their whole own thing because of that. So
yeah. And then, so we learn about that, but then we also learn about what more of Parrington's plans,
mm-hmm.
which is to
Breeding.
make essentially more Vogue hybrids of sorts. Only
Mm-hmm.
this time, why not use the more evil, put that in quotation marks, witches?
Mm-hmm. So
And
he basically forces Manon as like the leader to choose which clans of witches to be like experimented on, and she automatically is like, "This is not a good idea," and everyone in her group, her the 13, they're like, "Do not do this. Like this is not okay." And they're all trying to convince Manon that like this is evil. They should not be a part of this at all. And Manon's still kind of in between where she just wants to follow the rules, but also she's sensing that this is not good and this is not who she wants to be, but she hasn't really picked a side yet.
yeah, a part of me also doesn't think that she wanted to follow the rules per se. It was more like she's just that afraid of her grandmother.
Right. And also just the whole like this is how it's always been sort of thing.
Yeah. You
She's like,
listen to your you listen to your boss, and her boss happens to be the abusive grandmother, and so
mm-hmm,
therefore, um, she must do it whether she likes it or not.
mm-hmm. But yeah, so
And
she's starting to
so
fight back on that and refuses to pick like any of the Blackbeaks. She's like, none of them are going in for this, whatever it is he wants. And what was it, Yellow Legs, or was it Blue Bloods?
it was a yellow legs. It was yellow legs.
One of their
It was yellow.
covens was like, "Hey, we would want the honor or whatever," and she's like, "Go for it, you go do it." And but that's when we find out, thanks to a lead, because Manon realizes how like observant she is, and she's like, as a witch, I can't get close to what's going on down there. I'll be caught. She's like, but you're a human. No one cares about you. You could do it. So a lead like tricks her way in basically, and finds
She's
out.
one of the most horrific scenes ever.
Yeah, she finds out that the witches down there are being implanted with stones and then are birthing um demons, and like not regular birthing, like alien birthing, like ripping through their bodies,
Yeah,
birthing. And
like
at
like
it,
my brain.
yeah, and it,
Sorry, my brain instantly thought of, like, that really, there's this viral picture out there of, like, some person who, as punishment, had leaned on peas or something, and you see peas all over their legs, like, in a, tryptophan, it's
oh,
like that fear of all
the
the dots and everything fear,
yeah.
like, that is where my brain went with the stones. Like, I was thinking it
Mm.
wasn't just one, it's multiple all on these women,
I
and then
mean, kind of, because they don't grow
yeah.
at normal rates. So it was like they were having these babies in a week and then immediately be implanted with another one. So, like,
Oh,
by the time she found
oh,
them, they'd already had like 4, 5 babies each if they were still alive. And all of the
Yeah.
witches that were down there were just like begging to be killed if they weren't like already dead. So
Yeah,
it was
and
a
I'm getting goosebumps
really,
again.
yeah, I am too. It was really horrifying.
Mm.
So she tells them what's going on. They get even more angry. Still, Manon's like, I don't know if I should stop this. And Astrid, her second, is getting really pissed off. So she gets demoted because she's confronting Manon about it. And then, who is it? I think Sorrel, who was the third, ends up being
Yes.
second. And then she starts to kind of be like, no, Astrid's right. And she's like, do you want Festa to be second now? And like, it's basically like, I'll just keep replacing you all.
What would have been funny is that all of the others
She just went.
agree,
They did.
so
They
that it would
all
have been
agreed.
like
She would have just kept going because everyone was like,
just
"No,
exactly.
Astrid's right here. This is really
Yeah,
bad."
like,
But
they
what
all agree with Astrid.
I think it was, yes, in this book. I don't know. I don't remember how much later it is, but later on in the book, near the end, Astrid takes Manon like on a trip basically, and kind of explains why this was like extra traumatic for her. And we find out that Astrid had fallen in love with a human like 80 years ago, and they she was going to actually leave the witches completely to stay with him because she was pregnant, but she wanted to go back for a little bit first before, right? Because she was planning on returning, wasn't she?
I don't know. I think
Or did she just want the baby to be raised with the witches?
I think it started off with her going, screw you, dude in the woods. I may like you, but I'm not going to stay." And then she goes, and then in the process of realizing she's pregnant and everything, she's like, "Actually, no, I want to go back with him." At least that's the way I thought it went. Either way, her ultimate plan was to be with him, and it
Yes.
does not work out.
Right, because so she goes back to the witches, which I'm pretty sure, I think, was because she just wanted her daughter to be like born like the same way she was. Um
Probably.
but when she gets there, the Manon's grandmother like secludes her and like doesn't let Manon know that she's pregnant, even though they're like best friends. And she eventually gives birth to the baby girl, only it's a stillborn. And Manon's grandmother wouldn't even let her hold the baby. She immediately put the baby like in the fire and like,
See, okay, I'm gonna put it out there because we know how wickedly evil this woman is.
mm,
Who's to say
the baby was
that the
actually
baby was
dead.
actually stillborn?
I thought that a
Yeah.
lot actually. Like in my how I pictured it was that the grandmother knew that Astrid was going to leave with the baby and purposely killed the
Mhm.
baby. That's how I pictured it, at
That's
least.
that's actually how I pictured it as well.
Yeah.
And which just makes it even I
Even
mean,
more
no matter
heartbreaking.
what.
Yeah,
I mean, it
either way,
no matter
that's
what.
terrible. But
Yeah, we're both moms, and I cannot imagine.
no, I couldn't either.
No, I
It,
couldn't imagine having a stillborn, let alone my living child being murdered. Like, either way, that is just
horrifying.
heartbreaking.
And to make
Yeah.
matters even worse than your baby being dead and never getting to hold her once, the grandmother brands her with the words unclean and throws her outside like naked to die. She's basically cast her out like to see if she would like live or not. Um
Yeah.
Astrid obviously makes it through and gets on with being a witch again, basically as a fuck you to the grandmother. She makes herself as high up in rank as possible just to fuck with old Granny Blackbeak. But most of the people never knew this happened to Astrid. Manon never knew this happened to her. So at this point, Manon obviously is on her knees crying. She's devastated for Astrid and that she did not know this. And Astrid points out that she is not the first witch this has happened to, that the grandmother does this to any witch that has a stillborn child. And we also learned that, well, I'm pretty sure we knew before that most Iron Teeth don't always make it when they're born. So, like, stillbirth is very common. So, knowing that is even more awful because you think that means there's a lot of mothers out there that were treated this way, that were, like, branded and thrown out and, you know. But that's. I don't even remember. Oh, yes. So, that obviously finally kicks Manon into action and, like, actually starting to go against the Duke and the King and her grandmother.
And I think the very first real going against had to have been when, so back to Aelin and crew.
Back to that story.
She saved her cousin from a whole bunch of stuff. She sees Dorian being possessed.
Yes.
And then
we also we forgot Nesrin was introduced here. So she's like the ex-lover of Kale. They're like besties now, and he's got a thing for her again. And she's basically the Mulan of this book, just badass warrior. And so she's who stops Aelin from killing Dorian when Aelin is rescuing Aedion, because she shot an arrow and stopped her from killing him, which Aelin was like, alright, I didn't really want to kill him anyways, bye. Basically. So they go from that point, which I know you were very excited to go on. Sorry, I'm stealing all the
no, it's all good.
Like, let me tell you everything.
It's all good. Because, like, yeah, we get to that point, but then we're also, she needs to, she back in Wendland, she figured out where one of the word keys were, or was, and Rowan appears. When does Rowan appear? Does he appear before Aedion was?
No, it's after. Because Aedion was healing still. She took him back to his apartment. Has Lysandra been reintroduced at this point?
We did not do it.
No, I mean, like, now at this point.
Yeah, she was well before, because she actually helped Aelin save Aedion.
That's right, yes. So at this point we're like, oh, Lysandra, you're actually okay. You're not a bitch like we thought.
Yeah. And Rowan reappears, and it turns out he's got a tail. Someone's following him. And that person is our favorite dimwit of his crew. That's Lorcan.
Oh yeah, I'm like, who are we talking about?
Lorcan is a dimwit. Let's be honest.
You said dimwit, and I was like, Kale wasn't following.
No. That's why I said of his crew. His crew. Aelin's crew is so Kale. Confused. His crew is Lorcan. Lorcan is like Rowan's Kale. Honestly.
If Kale was emo and large.
Yeah. If Kale was emo and large, that's Lorcan. Because Lorcan has the same hatred for Aelin. He is upset. He is jealous because he doesn't get to have his boyfriend.
I was gonna say, he's just mad that Aelin took Rowan away. That is his whole thing. Yeah. That's what's so sad when you start to get his point of view, is you realize, you're like, oh, Rowan was basically his only friend, and when Aelin came into the picture, he realized that Rowan never thought of him as a friend, and it's like the most heartbreaking thing. I'm like, Rowan, just love the dude. He just wants a friend. He's just mad that you don't love him.
Exactly. So
Ugh.
Yeah, see, and that's the same thing. Look, Kale is upset about the whole Dorian and Aelin situation. Lorcan's upset about the whole Rowan and Aelin situation. So there we go. And so Lorcan is has it in his head that he's going to find the word keys and he's going to give it to the girl that he loves, Maeve. Uh Supposedly he loves
Our
her.
bitch aunt that we don't like.
That's that that's Yeah, that's his plan, at least. And so Aelin and Rowan and Adian decide, okay, well, we better get the word key that Aelin needs. And she goes to her old um oh god, Arobin, who was
Mm-hmm.
her boss, her guardian, kind of like an uncle figure, a guy who thought he could be her lover one day.
Mm.
This dude has it all and he is
He
just
has
not
it
the
all.
greatest. Uh he has it all. He has all the bad things going on with him. And so she's like, "All right, I'm going to go get this." And there we go. So she gets it and then Lorcan steals it from her supposedly. The word key, and you think everything's gonna be okay until Lysandra gets kidnapped,
We
and then when
skipped a little
she
bit, but yeah.
oh yeah, we did, didn't we? What did
I
we
mean,
skip?
uh, so we forgot that Caltaine was also at Marath. We
Yeah,
run into her again.
she's at Morath.
She's
Yes,
got Bruise, Mystery Bruise, and she's just like zonked out. She's like zombie, abused zombie is what she is right now. It's really sad. She also has this really badass power, which is like black fire. So basically, she was a magic fire user like Aelin. Um, Only now she's been taken by evil people and her magic has been turned into something darker than what it should have been. So that's her thing that she's got going on right now.
but in the process, we also have what the witches are making,
Right.
which is a tower that is made out of mirrors and essentially becomes like
Bomb.
a well,
I mean,
it wasn't going to be at first. At first, they were going to use Keltane.
yeah, she was going to be the thing and it was going to
Yeah.
magnify her fire magic and basically just set
So
everyone on
basically,
fire.
it becomes
Yeah,
like
you're
some
right.
crazy ass laser destroying things. And Manon sees this and she's like, "Oh shit, they ain't even good."
Well, she doesn't know this
And
yet. This is actually at the part where you're almost at.
oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
when that's
And then
introduced.
Lysandra
Yeah, because
gets
Lysandra,
kidnapped, and then
she was being a badass, you know. She killed Arabin. She, Aylin's been just showing up everywhere she isn't supposed to Kale's just sadness. Poor Kale. Everywhere he goes, he's like, this is super top secret. Shh, no one needs to know we're here. And then Aylin's like, hey guys! Did you forget to invite me? It's okay, I invited myself.
which honestly, I kind of feel like I understand why she did that, but I kind of feel like her doing that really put those poor guards in a bad situation.
I don't think so. I think what was going to happen to
I
them
think well,
I
I
mean
think
what happened to them was going to
yeah.
happen. Um
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you, but it still didn't help.
the one time it was almost bad because she could have drawn attention to them, but she didn't. She could have,
Mhm.
and that would have been bad, but luckily it didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically she's just showing up, pissing off Kale even more, because she's doing everything that he's trying really hard to do, but like with no problem. And like we said, she tricked Arobin after, which is lucky because he tried to imprison her, basically force her to be his sex lady. But she got out of that, and then Lysandra took her revenge and killed him because we find out that Lysandra was in love with Wesley, the guy that tried to save Aelin when she was Selena.
Which is interesting because in my head, Wesley was a whole
Old?
lot older.
Yeah! I'm pretty sure he was in his 30s. I'm pretty sure that was described he was in his 30s, and
Because,
she was
like
18,
of my
17.
brain,
Yeah. Yeah, so
yeah, my brain is like, this guy is not a good guy for her to be with.
I
Like, I
I
understand, but I
I
don't understand at the
I
same time.
did not understand their relationship either because it
Yeah.
pretty much maybe he wasn't 30s, maybe he was like late 20s. I wrote it down
Yeah,
somewhere,
because
but
like
it still like wasn't the right age gap for me, I guess. Just because she
yeah,
like
because like, the way
just
he was
became an adult when they started dating. Because it
yeah,
wasn't
it's
during that time that they were dating. It was later. It was a couple years later. So she was an adult at that point,
yeah.
but like still it still kind of gave me the
It's
ickies.
icky. It's icky. Yeah.
But and then we're also introduced to Evangeline, which is a little girl with scars on her face. And the reason why Aelin lets Lysandra become a part of the friendship group is because Evangeline is like, stop being mean to her. She saved my life because Evangeline had been sold off to be a courtesan as well. But Lysandra cut the scars into her face so that she would not have to do that, so she wouldn't have to sell her body, because the scars like made her unwantable. So, uh, well, and in doing so, Lysandra couldn't pay off her debts to Clarice, and so she has like a whole nother lifetime of continuing to be a courtesan because of
Yeah.
what she did to help Evangeline. So that's what convinced Aelin that, oh, she's not like this vapid girl I thought she was. And then we get there and we realize all the really crappy stuff Arobin even did to Lysandra, other than buying her virginity in the prequels. And so it was a real win when Lysandra murdered that stupid idiot. And now you can go on with where you were at. Those were the only things we forgot.
So, like, Lysandra gets kidnapped, but it's not really kidnapped, it's arrested, essentially,
Mm.
because she's got magic in her. There's a certain kind of magic that they
She's a
want, and
shifter.
she's a shifter, which means she
We
can
know
turn
at
into
this point.
cool-ass things.
But we
Yeah.
haven't seen that happen because magic has not been released. We
Not
just know it
yet.
because Rowan smelled it on her like a weird little hound dog.
Yeah. And, so Lysandra they go off to go save her, and in the process, our possessed prince is there to, relinquish her to the witches, and the witches happen to be Manon and her crew,
Well, her
and
grandmother is
there's a
talking to the king about those towers.
there's a little bit of a flirting action going on between Dorian and Manon, and it is actually Dorian and Manon. It's not the uh the Vogue prince that was in his collar. Oh no, it is him. Which I think
Manon
was really
straight,
funny.
the Manon straight scared the demon out. And Dorian, instead of being like, I'm momentarily freed, let's do some stuff, he was like, hey, sexy lady.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking
And
love that
Manon's just
man.
like, "Okay, that's not normal." But I think the fact that he did that is like her was definitely her cue to be like, "Okay, we kind of want to keep this guy around. He
Yeah,
seems kind of important."
because she's basically like saying how she's gonna fuck him up, like while he's
Yeah.
like being flirty, and she's like, I'm gonna hurt you and all this stuff. And he has that line that is the best line I've ever heard, the whole I'll bleed whatever color you want me to.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a
Mm.
great line. I like when I heard that, I started laughing. I was like, "Of course, Dorian, of course." I was like, "You win, man. You win. You've won my heart. That line alone made you a winning choice for me."
I read that line and I was like, no, Dorian, I will bleed whatever color you want me to.
And so they get Lysandra free. Kale is like, "I must kill the prince."
Mm-hmm.
Because Kale is now like, "Yeah, Aelin was right. I fucked up. I need to kill him because it should be by my hands, not hers."
In doing so, he
And
fucks
in
over everyone else who is ready to escape
yeah,
with
which
Lysandra. He he basically ruined their escape.
yeah, which I kind of, but I understand where he's coming from with that.
Oh
And
yeah,
in
no,
fact,
I get it too.
I like the fact that Aelin even understood. She
Yeah,
was
she
like,
did.
"Yeah, I get it. I
She
I I I'm pissed off that this happened the way it happened, but
she
I totally understand and I would have done the same thing, bro. It's
she,
okay."
she understood until Rowan got hurt, and then she was like, I
Exactly.
do not understand anymore. You're a dead man.
Exactly. Yeah. So Rowan does indeed get hurt, and
Because the witches are now
then
chasing after them. Because, no surprise, Kale gets caught trying to kill Dorian.
Aelin and Manon get into a fight,
Which is one of my
and
favorite parts of the book, actually.
oh yeah. What I liked is that they had witty banter back and forth. It was
While they're
like
trying to kill each other, like they're like, "Oh, we
yeah,
could be best friends." This situation was a little different.
it it was it was kind of like the flirting section of Dorian and Manon, only it's Aelin's way of flirting with Manon. And like, that's how it felt. And Manon almost dies, but then Aelin is like, "Fuck it, I'll save her." So she saves her, and
Mm-hmm.
as soon as she saves Manon, she's like, "Fuck." She's like, "Peace." And then they all leave.
And then
Manon's
Manon's
like,
like, "Now I
"God
owe a
damn it."
life debt. God damn it!"
Exactly. And so this is when Manon is like, "All right, I'm going to do my number one biggest betrayal of which kind right here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to kill some Vogue. We're going to use the blood and we're going to paint on the walls." And she paints it saying, can't remember what the exact words are.
Something like, "He's still in there, witch killer." The the prince,
Yeah.
something,
Still
something about
like I
him
think it
still
is
being in there.
I- yeah, I think it is
Oh,
he's still in there, witch killer.
witch killer, the human is still inside him. I put it in my notes.
There you go. Yeah.
I knew I
Yeah,
had.
see? Cuz it's a good scene.
Yeah, no, I've got a
It's
couple.
a good scene.
Yeah.
And I l- and she's l- so of course Aelin sees that and she's like, "Oh fuck.
Dorian
He's
is
alive.
savable. Yeah. She's very excited about this. She tells
He's
Kale,
yeah."
she's like, "Hey, we can save him. It's okay. It's a good thing you didn't fucking kill him, man."
Yeah, exactly. "Hey, aren't you glad neither of us killed him? Ta-da! This
And
is
then
good news."
Kale, being sad boy, is immediately like, "I'm the worst. I almost killed
Yeah.
him."
But then he's like, "No, we got to do this now." And of course, that's when they start making their plans to get the tower down so that magic can get back, so that
Yes.
Aelin has the magic to get Dorian back.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "All right, now we definitely need to get these towers
So
down."
yeah, they start planning that, and forgot a little bit earlier. We find out that our boy Aedion is Gavriel's son, um, Rowan's best
Yeah.
friend from Airfire. We're like, "Ooh, Maury!"
And so let's see. They get the tower down eventually.
Yeah, so they go in. They have their whole plan, like they usually do. Um, she, like you said, she had tricked Lorcan, so Lorcan's off. Well, Lorcan was off doing his own thing. So they had split into like two groups. You've got like
Rowan and
Kale.
Adian.
Yeah, you've got Rowan, Adian that way. You Who did Lysandra start with? She ends up with both sides. I can't remember which side she started with.
She's with I think she's with Nezran basically,
Yes, so
just
they're
making
doing
sure the
their thing.
city is okay, doing their thing.
You're right. And then Kale and Aelin go in together. At this point, we find out that the guards, all of Kale's guards, are dead, which is really freaking
Yeah.
depressing. They're like hanging. It makes me really sad, especially for, of course, Ress and Brulo, which were like the two main ones that we
What
knew about. Mostly for Ress. I
what
feel really
really
bad for Ress.
sucks what really sucks
Was
is
that
that
Dorian was
who's
the one who tortured and
was
killed
Dorian
them.
was the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely his scenes while he is possessed are really hard to read because, like, you see that his mom doesn't even notice something's different with him. Like, she doesn't even notice in the slightest that there's something off with the way he's acting. And then, of course, he's forced to do terrible things like that. And
And
oh,
what's interesting is, like, I don't know why it never clicked for me that Dorian was the one that tortured the guards.
oh, really?
It didn't click. It did not click for me in this book. I didn't realize it until he was having his PTSD moments in the next book.
What? I even mentioned it when we were discussing.
I'm just saying he
You're like,
mentioned
sure,
yeah,
Destiny,
he
whatever you
mentioned
say.
no, like I don't think it really clicked though
Yeah.
for me. Like I was like, "Oh wow, they fucked up the guards. Wow, that's fucked up what they did.
Yeah.
They went all Vlad the Impaler kind of deal." And so that's where my brain went. And then it wasn't until the next book with the PTSD that I was like, "Oh shit. That's who he was torturing." Cuz I thought he was torturing other people's. I didn't realize he was torturing the guards. Cuz
Mm,
I don't think it really says
I see.
he doesn't
I
all
guess
he
I
says
just
is that he
assumed that.
recognizes the faces.
Yeah. I guess I just
Yeah,
assumed
because
that
all it
by
said was that he
recognizing them,
recognized
it
it.
was the guards. Yeah.
Yeah,
So they have.
because here's the thing, he's the prince, he would recognize everybody. So, like, that's why I was like, "Okay, whatever."
Mhm. Yeah. So the two girls are trying to, like, keep everyone away from what's going on, protect the city. Kale and Aelin are going in to confront the king and get to Dorian. And then Adion and Rowan are going in the tunnels to blow up the tower so that magic can return and everyone can do their thing. While the boys are in the tunnels, we find out that Lorcan did not kill the big, bad, scary word hounds like he said he had, and those ended up all being there. And then a bunch of other demon things start
Which is
showing
like
up.
which was him basically going, "Oh, they want to kill Aelin too? Okay, I'll keep them alive. Ha ha, Aelin. What now?" You know, that was him thinking that this was going to be a good thing. And then his boyfriend, Rowan, starts getting killed, like beaten up by
Yeah.
these guys. And then he's like, "Oh no,
Yeah.
that's not what I wanted."
Yeah, so basically, Rowan, Rowan and Adian are getting their asses handed to them, and Lorcan just shows up. He's pissed off because I don't even remember why he showed up, but he did, and he's pissed off.
He literally showed up because he saw Rowan and Aedion going
Going
in there. And he was
under
like,
there.
"Wait,
Yeah,
no.
you're right.
Yeah."
You're right. That's what it
And
was.
he's like, "No, wait, what the fuck? No, she's the one that's supposed to go down there, not
Yes.
them." And that's
So
why
he
he's so
literally goes
pissed off.
in to protect Rowan and just starts saving
He's
them.
pissed off. He's pissed off that his plan worked. That's the thing. He's pissed off that his plan worked and it went the wrong direction. He
Ugh,
wanted it to get her, not him,
it's too
because he
funny.
wanted to keep his boyfriend. That's what happened.
And I'm pretty sure when he's down there, he also sensed that Adian is Gabriel's son. So then he also
Yeah.
feels obligated to save him as well. He's like, oh,
Like,
my other sort of almost not friend has a kid, so I should probably protect that kid.
it's
And
like, ah, shit, I really fucked up this one. That's That's what Lorcan's thinking, and that's why he's so pissed off and so badass with the word hounds because he's like,
Mhm.
"Oh shit, I
My
fucking
bad.
messed
My
up.
bad, guys.
I got this, bros." And like,
Ugh,
it's like the emo gym bro right there. I got this. I fucked up.
it's
You
too
know.
good. But basically, this delays their plan of actually taking out the tower. So that fucks with what's happening with Kale and Aelin. They are going to get Dorian and end up being confronted, like, head on by the king. Aelin tries to play it off, and she's like, Selena, I am here. I have returned from doing the thing you wanted me to do. And he's like, no, I know who you are. Stop even trying to play this. And I can't. I think he doesn't he like order Dorian to like kill him. I don't know. There's a situation where they're both
Yeah,
being evil, and
yeah. It's it's something like that, and then she starts
they
having to go on the run.
yeah they go on the run. Dorian goes after her. Kale is left with the king, and decides to sacrifice himself for his boyfriend. He's like, I'm so sad that I tried to kill you. I'm going to die now to protect you. And decides to fight the king, who we find out has a little bit of magic of his own. He starts with the creepy, shadowy things that he can do. And the king fucks up Kale. We just see like these magic, shadowy things coming after Kale, and then he is just out. He's like, everything's gone. Don't know what happened. So Dorian catches up with Aelin, stabs our homegirl right in the stomach, which works out in our favor secretly, because she used that moment where he goes in to kill her and slips the fancy ring onto his hand and hopes that it will kill the Valg inside of him, and it does. So he's kind of like on his knees figuring out his life as like the Valg is dying inside of him when his dad shows up again ready to kill Aelin. Well, Dorian gets up and he's Dorian. And another one of my favorite parts of this book, because they do the Karanam thing. Is that how it's pronounced? Karanam.
Uh, Karanon.
Yeah, however it's pronounced. They do the thing where they slit their little hand palms, put them together, and combine their magic, and it's badass. Like, basically, it's the most powerful thing that's ever happened. And
Which I think is interesting.
oh, what, like how it reacted when
You know,
they got their
it's
magic
actually
together?
kinda interesting, and air
Because normally it just
yeah, because like, air fire,
increases her own
it only
magic.
works for one person.
And this way it
Yeah.
combined them. Like, it didn't make his more powerful or hers more powerful. It made them into one like combined thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wish that was like
I
delved
I wonder
into
why that's
more,
the case.
because it's really cool. I don't know why. We don't really get the answer on that, but it's really awesome. Yeah, I hope that kind of
I
comes into
think
play later on.
I I think it's because they're both wells. Like, how their magic
Oh,
well is,
or
like, just so
endless. Yeah, cause
yeah.
yeah,
I
cause they
think
are the
that might
only
be it.
two magic users we know that have endless wells, and it's because they're two sides of that prophecy. Basically, like, your descendant, and they both were
Yeah.
options, and this is why
So, I think
they're like
and
the
I
same
think that might
person.
have been the reason why. Yeah. I think that might have been the reason why they were able to do that.
Yeah.
Or that maybe they're actually supposed to be Karanons, and
Oh,
that
like
Rowan and
true
her
Karanon.
yeah, and whereas
Mm.
with the case with Rowan and Aelin, that was actually their mated bond that was making her stronger.
Ooh, that's a good idea. I like that.
See,
Either
because
way,
like
both of those
'cause
are.
yeah.
So.
But so the castle finally gets destroyed.
Mhm. They
A
finally make
mix
it
of
there.
A
Um,
mix of the power that is Aelin and Dorian, but also, um,
well,
the destruction of power.
Well, yeah, because they destroyed the tower finally, which is what gave the magic for them to be able to defeat the king.
To do that.
And
Yeah.
in doing so, we realized that the king was possessed himself, and he's all like, "Oh my goodness, you did it, Aelin! You finally did what you were supposed to do all this time." And we realized that that flashback she'd had, where the king was like getting into her mind, he was trying to set her off so that she would kill him. Like he was trying to protect his son by like getting rid of the evil in him, basically. But it backfired, obviously, and terrible things happen. But we realized that he's kind of good deep down, and he keeps looking at Dorian, and he has a Harry Potter moment where he's all like, "My boy, my boy," and it's kind of really sad.
I
And Dorian doesn't buy it. He's like, "This is fake. Like your whole life you've been evil."
I'm with Dorian. I
Um,
still I even in the end with Kingdom of Ash, I wouldn't say that this guy completely, which we'll see later, but
I don't think
I
he's
still don't put him.
blameless, but I think I like if he hadn't been possessed, he wouldn't have done the evil things he did. Like he still made those
True.
choices, and that's wrong. But if those weren't like the only options he felt like like he did bad things, but he wasn't a bad person. That's how I feel about it. So like
Eh,
I don't think
I
he's
think
some completely innocent, amazing person, but I think
yeah.
he's also a victim.
I don't think I think that he wouldn't have been uh a good guy around, but I also don't think he wouldn't have been as bad as he was had the Volk been around, if that makes sense.
I get what you're saying, but I think from what the little we've learned because of
Yeah.
Mort, we know that Dorian is very much like his father was as a teenager. So to me, that means
Maybe.
he's good at heart, and he was just way more curious than he should have been. Because then we learned that he and the Duke were just messing around the tomb, being idiot boys, and accidentally opened it and got possessed. And then that's
You
when
know
we
what?
learned that the Duke is the big bad because
Which I find interesting. Why choose to be the Duke and not the King?
I'm
So
not
maybe
sure
you're
it
a
was
little
a
bit more right
choice. Well, that is true. If they did
because
choose
there's
because there was too much good in
if
the king.
yeah, like he was like that. This is not what I want. I don't want
Yeah.
this
My
guy. I
general will
want
have to
Parrington.
be you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, I think that kind of
that would
might
work.
be a good
I
reason.
can I can work with that then. But see, like then that because I don't think I mean, we're never given the extent of power levels that Parrington has over the king, but given the lineage, I wouldn't put Parrington as magically inclined as the king. And
Mm.
that's why I think um since you're saying that I think you are more correct with the king's personality than when it comes to that because I'm sure it has to be like a mix between intention
Yeah.
and magic.
Yeah. So he's like, this guy's got more power, but he's gonna fight me a lot easier than this
Yeah.
guy will. This guy's gonna succumb easy peasy lemon squeezy, and he's
This
got enough magic
this
I can
guy is the
enter.
bigot of all bigots. He's good for me.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
I keep forgetting what is his name. I keep wanting to call him Aragon because I have Aragon stuck in my head. What the fuck is the Duke's the the Valg, the evil Valg King? What is his name? Send help. Starts with a E, doesn't it?
Oh
Erewhon.
God.
Erewhon. I knew it
See,
was somewhere in that ballpark.
because like when you said yeah, because like my brain always wanted at least when we were reading it, my
Saying
brain was saying
Arwen.
Arwen, which
Oh,
makes no sense. Arwen, yeah.
I
Even though I was hearing the right thing in my audiobook, my
oh,
brain was like, "Ah, it's Arwen," you know? But I can see why you're thinking Aragon because it does look
it
a lot
started
like
out that
that
way, and
in
I'm like,
text.
"That's not
It
right."
really does. Yeah. No, I can see that.
But yeah, so then we learn that the king is just like the general, and Parrington is the big bad. Um,
Mhm.
and then
So there's
the
more
king
to do, more
dies.
work.
Dorian has a hissy fit because he's not hearing it from his dad. He's so traumatized by everything that happened, and he shatters the glass castle. Aelin saves the town because the castle, all those glass shards were going to kill everyone. Um, but she uses her
Which is good
fire
that she
and
did
like
it that way.
melts all the glass. And then Rowan swoops in with his air and like cools it down enough. So it's just like this big old wall kind of now. Not even like a whole
Mhm.
wall. It's just like a big smush of
Yeah, they
things.
call it a wall, though. They call it, like, Aelin's Wall or something like that.
Yeah, something
But,
like that.
like but, like, what I think for doing that, not only just to save the people, but also that was a good way to that was a great way to, make it so that she's like, "Yeah, I killed the king
Mm-hmm.
to save Dorian
Yeah,
the
because she takes all the blame for
the
that.
stuff," because, like, she's like, "You guys clearly can see what I can do. I clearly killed the king."
Yeah. Even
Yeah.
Kale never finds out that it was Dorian that killed the king. That because she basically anyone that wasn't Dorian or Rowan and Lysandra thinks that Dorian was the one, or that thinks Aelin was the one that did all of
Yeah.
that, even though it was Dorian. And
Yeah.
Lysandra at this point, magic's back, and she transforms, and she is the biggest, baddest bitch around. Just starts eating people, and it's really amazing.
Well, bad people. She's eating bad
Yeah,
people. We should reiterate that. She's not just wandering around chewing on
she's
a
like,
random
I am
bystander.
animal now. Yummy people. No, she's eating the gross
Yeah.
Valg,
No, it's more
which
like
comes into play later because she's like, ew, my belly hurts, the icky. And then she throws up all over Lorcan twice. That's my favorite. She just black vomit all over, a little bit of guts here and there. That's what Lorcan gets.
and this is when,
We realize,
Lorcan realizes it tells Aelin that he knew what she did and he's pissed off about it.
mm-hmm,
Switching the word keys
mm-hmm.
for the fake one. And
No, no,
he's
no,
like,
no,
because that bitch does he not know?
no. Mm-mm. Remember, he finds that
Oh,
out
he
in the
still
next
doesn't
book.
know. Oh, you're
Because he goes on this big
right.
old adventure
Oh,
trying
that's
to get back to
right.
Maeve. Yeah, no, he doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
He does steal
No,
the
he's just
ring
still an
back from
idiot.
her, though. That's what he does. After saving Rowan's ass,
Yep.
that's his final fuck you to Aelin, is he has stolen the ring back, the one that can kill the Valg inside of possessed people. And then he goes on his merry way, and he's no longer part of the books. Well, not the books, this book. And we find out that Kale did
Yeah.
not die, but Homeboy can no longer walk. Ugh.
He paralyzed.
He's paralyzed. At first, it was from the neck down, but Rowan was able to. I think it was Rowan. Someone was able to heal him enough that it was only legs
It
down.
it, it was Rowan.
Okay, that's
And
what I
I
thought.
always thought it was more of like I thought it was more like waist down, basically, like hips,
Oh yes,
pelvic
I guess I
area
said
down.
legs, but yeah,
Yeah.
waist. But it had started up at the neck
Yeah.
because it. He said how he like was able
Exactly.
to push the magic down, or however it was he
Yeah.
pointed it.
He he was a quadriplegic. Now he's just the legs
Paraplegic.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Hale is now the hand of the king
Mm-hmm.
because our new king is Dorian.
Nesrin is our
And
new captain of the guard.
and Kale is also ambassador for Terrasen
Which is
because
poor
Queen
choice.
Aelin. I mean, I think I think it was a great choice in the sense of like Aelin. It was a great way for Aelin to be like, "See, I don't hate you, dude. No
Yeah,
matter how
that's
many
true.
times you want to
Like, I
say
want you to be a
I'm
part
not
of
gonna
this.
hate you,"
Yeah. Um, and
and so
we well, we learned that Nesrin is her family is from where the Torre Sesame is, the big like magical place where all the healers go to like learn the trade of healing and whatnot. Like all the most powerful healers live there in the like southern continent. So now Kale has two reasons to go there. One, he needs his legs fixed so that he can fight in this war. And two, he's ambassador and hand of the king, so he's going down there to be like, will you guys come fight for us?
yeah, and and that basically ends that book with Aelin and her crew going to Terrasen, Dorian trying to figure out what he's going to do with
As king
his issue, and Kale going off on his adventure
with
to get
Nesrin.
fixed.
Yeah. And
And
then
un-
how did the witches end it? Was it just them her
it was
saving
pretty much
him
just
and
it,
deciding that
well
she
the way
was
it
gonna start rebelling?
so meanwhile what's going on in Morath, they got a
Oh!
big ass
Oh, we
explosion
forgot!
that happened
We forgot the biggest part of her.
because it leads
Elite
well I mean we got
Okay, yeah. Elite's
you know
been
what
kidnapped
honestly
now.
okay let me just put this out. I think we're gonna have to end it on this book for this
Yeah, we're not gonna have
podcast
time for the
episode.
next
We're
one.
not gonna have time for the next one. Next one
Uh-uh.
is the next one because
Yeah.
what Elite finally is like getting ready to run. She's like, "All right, I'm ready to go. I got this. I'm gonna get out of here. Manon's taking too long. The witches are taking too long. I gotta get out of here."
Oh yeah,
So
because they
she
were
starts to
off
leave.
making their
Yeah,
message, so they left Elite alone, and her uncle,
and her uncle
snaps
is
at
like,
that.
"So you're a witch, right?" And she's like, yeah." And he's like, "Good, cause they need a baby maker." And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Yeah." So that she goes to go, they start taking her to be the baby maker. And she's like, "No, I don't want this." And he's like, "Yeah, we want this." And she's like, "No." And then Manana comes. She saves Ilid
After
from the
Elite is
guards.
really humiliated by those
Yeah,
guards in a really fucked up
yeah,
way. But yeah,
yeah. She Manon saves Ilid, and Manon's like, "Yo, I'm sorry, hun. I didn't mean
leave
to
you
leave
for
you
3
in a
days.
lurch. So, babe, you got to get out of here." And Elite's like, "Fuck yeah, I do."
Manon gives her
And
money.
yeah, and they start to do that, and then um out pops Caltaine, and she's like, "Yo, I got something for you. You need to give this to Selena Sardothian." And she gives her a weird ass slither thing. It's
Out
a
of her
like a
arm, she digs
out of her
in.
arm.
No emotion as she's
There you
digging
go.
in and pulling it out. It says, "Tell her thanks for the cloak."
Yeah, hands it to her and she says, "Yeah, tell her thanks for the cloak. Here's this. Give it to Selena. And I got you, girl. Don't worry. I got this." And Elite's like, what do you have?" And Caltaine's like, "Nah, just get out of here." And so
Witches fly off
Manon
and
and
drop
Elite
off a
haul
lead.
out. And when they do that, Caltaine is like, "Okay, bros, fire." And she does her fire thing, which proceeds to explode a third of Morath. So,
Mhm.
a third of their operation. This means all the witches, all the weird baby things,
Mhm.
everything destroyed because of Caltaine. She's like,
Unfortunately, she killed herself. She's-
yes. There are some people that survive this situation, such as the uncle, because the uncle actually wasn't there in the process. But
Typical.
um, so that happens. Manon and company drop off a lead, and they're like, "We got to get back so that they don't think
We were part of
we're
this.
helping you."
Yeah.
And Elite's like, "I'll never forget you guys. You're my
Yeah.
sisters."
They had such a cute little goodbye. They're like, "Yeah, you're one
And
of
they're like,
us." And they all like,
"Yeah." And so they go back to doing their thing, and Elide starts traveling her way to find Selena Sardothien.
even though she has no idea who she is.
She has no clue who this Selena Sardothien is, but all she knows is that Aylin's alive and that she can get to her, and that maybe if she gets to Aylin, she'll get to
She'll know
Selena.
who Selena is. What are the
Which
odds
she's
of
not
that?
incorrect. She's not incorrect,
She
which is
is
great. She's
very
like,
correct.
Aylin will know this girl. She's like, Aylin will know this girl, not a problem. I know she'll know. I'll just and if she doesn't know, she'll help me find a way to get this girl. So I'm just gonna go
Mm.
find my queen, and there we go.
Yeah, that
And so
reminds
that's
me is part of like the really nice sweet goodbye was because earlier in the book, Manon was like, why do you keep going? And she's like, well, I have hope, and like tells her like, you know, about Aelin and her queen and how she like has hope that she's out there somewhere. So obviously after Manon fought her and realized she is alive, in her goodbye here, she was like, she's out there. You're right. Hope exists is basically what she tells her before she says goodbye. And it's really beautiful.
yeah. And so it leaves in a wow, that was a really dark situation and messed up situation for a whole bunch of people,
Mm.
but it also it makes you go, "Ooh, I wonder how this is going to culminate." And honestly, I don't have any bad things to say about this one. Like,
Mm-mm.
I
I don't
poke
either.
fun at all the others, but I think the only thing that I have to say about it that I'm like, "What the hell? Where is she?" is the housemaid that was helping Selena out in book
The
1.
housemate.
That's the only thing.
No, no, no. She was in
Philippa,
this
I think
one.
was her name.
She was in this one. It's in the
Where
very.
was she?
It's either in the very end of this one or the very beginning of the next one. But I'm pretty sure it's the end of this one, helping everyone heal up and talking to Dorian because he mentions how he killed every single person that was evil in the castle, and she was one of the few people that was like still left around to help him clean up everything.
Okay, see, I don't remember her being mentioned. So that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And even if you're wrong, I've decided you're right. So there we go.
I might
Uh,
be wrong that it's the end of this book, but it's definitely either the end of this book or the beginning of the next. I do remember that.
yeah, cuz
But I think it
I
was the
had
end of
no clue
this
where she went.
because I think she even said something to Aelin like, "You're back. I know who you are." Like, I'm pretty sure there was that small little interaction between them. It was like the last few chapters, and it was very small interaction, but
Yeah, yeah. If anything, it probably like was a sentence or two, and
yeah.
I was probably like busy delivering something at that moment. Like so. But but I really had nothing to get upset about or anything. Uh so that was nice. I didn't I'll say this. I didn't like Lorcan. In fact, I would say I don't like Lorcan until Kingdom of Ash.
Hmm.
And I don't mean that in a I should say I don't care for Lorcan until like the very scene the before he did everything. Before he did it all,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care for him. It wasn't until then. And what is all? We don't know actually. But, There you go.
But he did. So Lorcan did.
He did. He did it.
Ugh,
And you know, I don't think I really liked him until then, honestly, because it's like
interesting.
he maybe I just don't like emos. He was
Oh
just too
no.
emo for
What
me.
does that say about me? Because I didn't like him in this book, but the next book I loved him. Maybe
Like
it's
the
thanks
next
to a
book,
lead.
I liked him a little bit better. Yeah, yeah. See, I liked him better when a lead came about because then he started having a
Personality.
personality.
Yeah.
So I liked him better, but yeah, a little bit of a personality, a little bit. But I think his personality really didn't start kicking in until Kingdom of Ash. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm liking this guy. Because if you think about it, what's his personality? His personality is
Grumpy.
I am Jim Bro emo boy. I am an emo Jim Bro and I am in love with my queen Maeve. And there
Yeah.
you go. That is my identity.
He
Like,
definitely
that's his identity.
he gets less
That's his
grumpy.
identity until yeah,
Yeah,
until Kingdom of Ash.
because until
That's his
Kingdom of
identity.
Ash, like he has no reason to not,
He didn't have a lead.
and
Yeah.
he still had other people. Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun. But yeah,
Yeah. Like, and that's
I agree. This is like a masterpiece. This is why I say this is one of the best books of the series, because I think it's this one, Empire Storms, and Kingdom of Ash are like by far the best three books of the
I
series.
think I think I would put I think I would put Kingdom of Ash as my top, Queen of
Mm.
Shadows as my second,
Mm.
and then I would put Empire of Storms.
Interesting.
Because, like, for me, Empire of Storms was just kind of like a halfway house to the big shit.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And and so for me, and that's why I'm like, I wouldn't put Empire of Storms. And now Empire of Storms is definitely better than Tower of Dawn. Tower of Dawn is like near
Tower of Dawn doesn't
Assassin's
count.
Clay. Yeah, it's whatever. But I I think up until the very ending of Empire of Storms, like the very ending of Empire of Storms makes it high on the end
Yeah.
of me liking it. But the rest of the book is like, okay, this is your typical Aelin hijinks and just with a little twist. A little extra twist in there. And oh, hey, here's Manon, a little more of her. Hey, all right, I'm cool with this. And then you get a little more Nehemia and then it's like, "Oh man, really?
You're back.
Her? Her again?" And then it has that last bit. And I know you know what I'm talking about there, which we'll talk about next
I
time.
think that
But
last
that
bit is why Empire Storms is my favorite. Kingdom of
and
Ash is
that
my second.
see and the last bit is why Empire of Storms is up there for me, but Kingdom of Ash is my top.
Oh,
It's top tier because
hurts
of
my soul.
that one scene in Kingdom of Ash. Like, I'm
I
sorry, oh man,
I
when we
know.
talk about it,
It was
I'm
good.
just gonna be upset.
Me too. I'm
So
upset thinking
that's
about it.
why that
I
book
think
is
that's
up top
what
there.
brought it down for me. I was like, oh, my heart's been shredded into 5,000 pieces. But also because
No,
I feel like in
and that's what brought
Kingdom
it up.
I feel like in Kingdom Ash there are a few things that I'm like, does it, like, it's not that it doesn't make sense, but there's still things that felt slightly missing. Whereas this one and Empire of Storms, it felt like everything was there and everything was connected. As much as I love Kingdom of Ash, it had a few areas where I was like, that doesn't feel
Yeah.
quite right.
Yeah, no, I
So
agree.
actually, I might even
I
say
would agree
Queen
with
of
that.
Shadows is mate. I can't. Just because
See, that's the
the
hard part.
conclusion, I don't know. They're my top 3. I'm not even going to rank them. They're my top 3.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's the problem right there.
Air of Fire was a close 4th. Just because I
Yeah,
love a
no, I agree.
good
I agree. So yeah,
characterization.
the the next book we'll talk about next time is Empire of Storms. And that's because like Empire of Storms is just so long.
Yeah,
And
each one of these
Queen of
has been
Shadows was so
getting
long too.
way,
So
yeah, once Queen of Shadows hits, they just kept getting bigger. I mean, it kind of went down a little bit in Tower of Dawn and then got way huge out of nowhere. So I guess that's why we were able to do 2 books at a time these last couple of episodes, because they were tiny normal size books, and now we finally hit big book size. So we might be doing 1 book a
yeah.
time from now on.
Yeah.
Which is fine by me. I don't mind prolonging our talk of my favorite series.
No, it doesn't bother me any, so it's all
uh,
good.
I'm trying to think. There is like, nope, I can't remember what it was. I'll definitely read my notes before we talk about the next book, so I remember everything without being like, "Oh wait, we forgot." I will go back through those so I make sure I have all of the main points in my head.
Yeah. Well, do you have a book that you would recommend?
Mm, you do yours first. I need to think about mine.
Well, hell, because I don't have one either.
All right, the book I'm going to recommend comes out on June 8th.
That works, yes. Which is what is it? Oh, Songs
Songs
of
of
the
the
Deep
Deep
Volume
Volume
2.
2. Wow. Cass, you want to tell us what it's about?
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so I hear it's an anthology of mermaids stories.
Oh.
Dark fantasy, you got your romance, you got your
Ooh.
urban fantasy, you got everything. There's I believe there's a story in there called Tethered Magic, written by
Oh.
oh, me actually.
What?
And that
You?
one yes, me. That one has some LGBT representation. We've got a lovely female coupling going on with and it's actually the sequel to my first story in the first volume, which is no longer available. But don't worry, folks, I plan on expanding both stories into one big compendium. Um yeah, biggins. And but Tethered Magic is the sequel to the first story, and it has some cannibalism going on there. A little
Ah.
accidental. There's like an accidental moment of not necessarily cannibalism, because I'm not entirely sure if you would call a human eating a mermaid a cannibalism moment,
Oh.
but
I have the opposite issue where
there is something
mermaids are
like that
eating
going on.
humans.
Uh see, there you go.
We have some
We've
issues.
got it all going on here. Um so that's my story that's in there, and your story that's in that
My
anthology is
story?
Heart's
What?
Desire.
I'm in it too? I am. And you're right, it is Heart's Desire. We have our lovely mermaid who is set on revenge. I say that loosely because I did not go in depth as I wanted. Don't worry, I will fix that later on and also self publish in the future. Um, but she is angry little thing and comes across our favorite cinnamon roll, Eric. He is a scientist.
He is adorable.
He hates being on the sea, but he's trying to make some new world discovery, not really new world discoveries. He's looking to see what kind of new species and whatnot are out there in nature. Unfortunately, he has to travel the oceans to get to those areas that they might be. And push comes to shove, he ends up meeting our lovely mermaid. She's very intrigued by him. He's kind of like, you're pretty cool. I'm gonna respect you though. And go on my
Yeah,
merry
which is a
way.
good thing.
Where he runs into our badass pirate who is on the hunt for an island with a city made of gold. And after coming across Eric, he finds out about the mermaid and her very special power. So they all end up together. You'll have to see what happens, though.
See, there you go. And so that's going to be our recommendation. It's probably going to be our recommendation for the next few episodes too,
Yeah,
if you think about it.
I'm just gonna keep saying it until it's
We're
no
just gonna
longer
keep on using
available
it.
to buy.
And the reason for that is because this is Destiny's first real published thing, and that's a big deal. And I'm so
Very,
super proud of her.
I'm very excited and very disappointed in myself because I procrastinated.
No,
So there was
it,
more
it,
I
it
wanted to do with this story that I didn't have time for
and you will.
because I will in the future, but since I waited so long, I had to make it as short as possible. So if you're feeling a little bit like, I could do with some more of this, don't worry, there will be more. I will
Yeah.
beef that sucker up
And believe me, I will be pushing her to do that too. So there you go.
because she wants the
And
throuple to happen.
I do. I want it to happen. And so it needs to be written down. The book itself needs to be written so that I can be inspired should that thruple not happen so I can
Mhm.
write my first fanfic.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
you all
because it
need
would
to
be.
read it to tell me if you agree there should be a thruple or not. You guys
Oh,
can
there we go.
you
This
guys
is
can help
great.
give me advice if you write your own story practically. You'd be like, hey, I think you should do this. And I'd be like, all right, I'll take that into consideration. Thank you. Thank you for the
In
advice.
fact, there you go. In fact, if you guys pre-order it and then get it on ebook and then read it, um, you guys have to comment.
Oh yes, please. Let us
Comment
know.
here. And then and tell her it needs to be a throuple. I'm just saying. Just
Tell her it needs to be
put
a
it out there.
thruple.
Tell her. Make it happen. We don't have enough of those in literature.
Or
I'm
if
just
you want to
saying.
go the dark way and say, kill them, that could be fun too. I'm always up for murder.
Why not both?
Why?
I'm just saying. We can have both. She can well, that went erotic in my head. So I'm just gonna keep it quiet for a moment there.
Mine went
I'm
worse
just
than
saying.
erotica. I was like, we don't have sex with dead people. That's bad.
Nope, 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 no. See, I was saying she can eat them and then she can eat them. You're welcome.
By the way, this show is for adults, if you have not figured that out. Oh
So yeah.
no.
Yeah, I went there. Of course, this could be edited out. I mean, well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, sure.
it won't be. Sorry about your
No, it
ears.
won't. So we will see you guys again,
Possibly next week.
and
We're gonna do better
and
at doing this.
we're doing we're slowly but surely. We are two very working, busy ladies, but
Yes.
we're
And
gonna be a little bit better at this.
finally getting my mic issues figured out. So once we get these two things, we're gonna be rolling. So get ready.
Yeah, we got this. We're gonna make it happen. All right. Well, yeah.
Time
See
to
you guys
sign
soon.
off. Bye.
Great. Bye.